Um, let's get some people in here. I'm going to text my team. I'm actually in my hotel room here in Washington, D.C. Okay. All right, everybody. So I'm here in my hotel room here in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be doing some appearance tomorrow that I'll be sharing with you a little bit later tonight. Um, Needless to say, I enjoy being in DC. There's a lot of cool things that are going on in our government, and I'm very eager to do a whole lot more with my image and brand likeness with our United States government. So I wanted to come on here and actually talk to you guys about a variety of topics, ranging from the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic to even one of the newest sensations who has just now competed, Sam Sulek. I've never spoken about him. And I'm really eager to read your questions and actually get ready to. I'm just reading some of your questions. This is pretty funny. But yeah, I'm getting ready to get ready for the Arnold Classic and be able to go commentate, which is something I've never done as well. And you guys have seen me commentate the Olympia, which I truly enjoy. I have a great time doing that. But I also wanted to be able to do the Arnold Classic because that's the first bodybuilding show of the bodybuilding season, and a lot of people tune in. And I, for one, am usually in the green room anyway, watching it just like you guys do online, but now I get to actually call it. So very, very pumped about that. Um, I'll answer a few questions while we get everybody in here. This guy says, did you use baby oil for your bodybuilding shows? Actually, I didn't. I used Jantan, I used Protan, I used a variety of different products to help accentuate those muscles. So then when the lights hit you, they can actually see the finished product. Um, are you gonna be? Are you be going back to the Olympia? Well, I'll be at the Olympia this year, but I won't be competing, if that's what you're asking. And one of the great questions that we have is how many milligrams of testosterone are you using now? 200. I weigh 246 to 48, and normally around this time I would be 275, 280 pounds. Um, the diet has changed. The inflammation is definitely leaving my body much more than what it would be if I was, doing different PDs and stuff like that. As you can see, I'm kind of getting leaner in the face, so I'm probably looking a little bit younger as well. All right, so one of the questions is, Derek or Samson, one of the things, let me go ahead and try to use data because they're saying the Wi-Fi is just not good. Okay. All right, so one of the questions is Derek Lunsford or Samson Dowda. Well, as of right now, we're going to have to go with champ, who just recently won the Olympia, Samson Dowda. He did beat Derek, and Derek got third. So with Hadi Chupin placing second. I do realize that with Derek Lunsford, the things that I would probably focus more on is making sure that or when I say he creates a lot more balance with the physique that he's presented. I feel like last year it was very well predicated on a lot of back, because back wins the shows and such, and that's a huge body part for him. He is an incredible back last for back double bi is like one of the greatest of all time in my opinion. But with that said, it can showcase some of your weaknesses as well, so it can make you more top heavy. And I think that that's what I wouldn't say ruined anything, because I think he's amazing. I just think that it didn't carry the balance with the legs. So if the legs grew as fast as the back did, I think he would have had no problem. So if he's maybe slowed down the back training and then he increased the frequency of leg training and had some good responses from that, I think he would be very well favorable to give Samson Dowda a good run for his money. But with that said, I mean, we've seen some pictures and videos of Samson, and he has not let off the gas at all. And I talked to him after he had won the Olympia, as I was doing the live webcast with Tim Wilkins. Shout out to Tim. He's the best co-host I could have, at the Olympia. And I asked Samson, I said, "Are you going to roll into the Arnold?" And he said, "Yes, I'm going to be bigger and better." And part of me was like, why? You don't need to be bigger. You just need to be better. But he's actually gotten bigger, and it looks like he's actually gotten better. So um, to each his own, man. I don't necessarily think he has to be any bigger. I do think that there's some levels of conditioning that he can get better at. And if he does do that, it's going to be very, very difficult for these guys to beat him because that's the only thing that I believe that this lineup may be competitive, like highly competitive at. And I know, and I speak more for Derek than anything. So that's what's going to make this contest really, really exciting, is because um, each person has different, flaws, and they have different strengths. And it's who can, you know, I wouldn't say totally eliminate, but who can hide those weaknesses while exposing someone else's weaknesses. See, that's the mentality that I know I had getting ready for these shows, is that, when you're getting ready for a contest, it's like boxing, right? Like, you have to know like what that person's strength is. So if that person has, a great jab, you got to be able to eliminate that thing, because if that jab hits you too many times, it's going to score a lot of points. So you have to understand the counter punch is greater in that situation. So you got to know how to, bob and weave. But in this case, let's say Derek, he has to make sure that those legs come up, the back is even sharper, which is crazy. And then the chest, is going to be more splintered. So then it can expose some of the things that maybe Samson doesn't have, because he is round. He is super round, but doesn't get in the same conditioning. So I'm very eager to see those two line up. I know that there's a lot of other guys that are going to be in this lineup that are going to shake things up, which I'm very, very excited about. So that's what's going to make this an incredible, incredible Arnold Classic. One guy says, "Come to Saudi Arabia, man. We love you." I was literally just there. Was it October? I think it was October. I'll say October, November. We were out there, had a great time. Shout out to Panada and also Profit. They were the ones that brought me out there. Got to see a lot of gyms. And yeah, I mean, bodybuilding is growing in that region, and I cannot wait to get back out there, because we were in Jeddah, and we were also in Riyadh. So Alan Silverman asks, "So my question is to you, how come you're not going to compete anymore?" Well, primarily because I accomplished what I wanted. Of course, I wanted to win 10 Mr. Olympias. And if it wasn't for injuries, I think I would have done that. But at some point in time, you have to look at, okay, got to look at your age. You got to look at the other things you want in your life. You have to understand that although you're great and you're good enough to even possibly win again, you're always going to have to give something up to go get something like the Olympia. And what next Olympia can I achieve? Well, I want to be able to have a family. I've talked about it years ago, and I am not getting any younger. So in order for me to do that, I want to devote a lot of my time, energy, and resources into that. Whereas when I'm getting ready for Olympia, all bets are off. Like business, personal life, everything. I give everything to that contest. So as much as it pains me to actually, walk away from something that I was extremely good at, I was great at, and I sit on that Mount Rushmore of bodybuilding with great pride. It was time for me to step away permanently and allow these other athletes to have their moment. And that's why I stay locked in with social media. That's why I'm doing these lives, to connect with you guys. But most importantly, that is another reason why I'm so honored and privileged to commentate these shows, whether it be the Olympia or, like in the next week or so, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. So one guy says, "What do you think about Sam Sulek?" I think Sam is definitely, so his debut I thought was really good. At first I wasn't too sure. Reason being is because, I just saw him using, like, whether it be his social media or someone else's. So like when you have these cameras, they're great. But when you're using stage lighting and tan and all that stuff, that's usually where I'm able to see like whether someone has the goods or not. not in the highlight reel, not with filters and such and stuff like that. But I thought he did great. You know, the guy came in shape and he won, and he was rewarded for that because of the fact that he made sure he brought a good package. And you know, he's 23 years young, and he has this whole whole life ahead of him. And I competed at my first show at 23, and I thought it was really good to see him finally compete because, you know, as a bodybuilder, when you're just solely fixated on competitive bodybuilding, that's all you really want to do. You don't necessarily want to do that above being an influencer and doing social media. Now you have people that are, so my point is, you don't have a lot of influencers that want to compete because they're going against guys that don't care about the Instagram, the Facebook, the YouTube. They just care about the gym and competing, right? Um, so it's hard, but to see someone like him who has become a sensation online to decide, you know what, I'm a sensation online, but this all leads to something, and I'm gonna put it on the line at a bodybuilding show. I give him mad props because he didn't have to do it, you guys. Like, he didn't have to do it. I'm glad he did. Now he gets to roll into the Arnold and either make a lot of people happy or make a lot of people mad. This guy says, you should coach, champ, take over Hani. I don't necessarily want to take over Hani Rambod. I mean, Hani Rambod is a great coach. He's done incredible things, and he's devoted his life to helping champions see their destiny with winning. I definitely want to coach people. In fact, I already have my one-on-one coaching going on right now on philfit.com, where people can hire me, you know, for 30 minutes, an hour to go over your training program, you know, life, business, whatever it may be. But for those people that want to be coached by me, there's a way to get that done now. Butch 3727 says, will you work on your handles now that you're retired? Whose NBA game resembles your skill set? Oh man, my handle is not as great as it used to be. Let me, so yeah, my handles are not where they used to be. And yeah, I was at a Lifetime Fitness just a couple days ago, and I was like, oh man, I should go in here and screw around a little bit. So I'm trying to, like, you know, do the moves and stuff. And then I'm like, let me see if I can actually do a jump shot, like not a set shot, but like actually jump off the ground and then do that. And I was like, this is freaking hard. It's harder being at 250 pounds doing this than it was at 175 pounds. But whose NBA game, or yeah, do I resemble? Well, I always was a fan of Derek Fisher, who played with the late Kobe Bryant, and you know, he played for the Los Angeles Lakers, won titles with them, primarily because he did three major things. He didn't turn the ball over, he played great defense, and he could knock down an open jump shot. So I thought those were things that, you know, anyone that has played with me knows that, like, I wouldn't turn the ball over, I played great defense, and I was athletic as hell, and I would not miss an open jump shot. I just wouldn't. And real quick, I got some news coming in on my phone. We're going to be dropping an actual video of Sam Sulek's amateur debut here on YouTube very, very soon. So I just wanted to throw that out there before I get inundated with a bunch of freaking questions about Sam. All right. What are your thoughts about Hadi Chupan? Well, personally, I wish he was doing the Arnold Classic because we could have seen everybody run it back at the after the Olympia, and I know he would want to do that. Hadi Chupin is one of the best, most competitive bodybuilders that our industry has. When I say competitive, this is a person who lives in Iran that has a ton of adversity. He probably has more adversity than any current pro in the top 5. This guy's competed through rolling blackouts. This guy is competing you know, he's from Iran, so he refuses to move because he doesn't want to leave his family. And for him just to get to the United States to compete is like a huge task, right? Because of the political climate, you know, between Iran and the US government and all that craziness. So just to have that type of stress is huge on the body. And he's able to maintain that with a great mindset. And when you see him pose, you just know how passionate he really is and how he loves to compete. So I admire his competitive spirit and his work ethic. I mean, if you've seen this guy train, I mean, this guy does not leave any stone unturned. Let's see some other stuff. What do I think about William Bonac? Um, William, in my opinion, is one of those guys that when he doesn't have to be 100% of what he used to be, but if he can be 90% of that, is very formidable as far as a competitor that can shake up the top five in any contest he's in. Reason being is because he's dense. He's got great muscle bellies, and conditioning is really good. If you look at his body, part for part, I mean, it does flow. And as long as he's on, I mean, I've never seen William Bonac like soft. I've seen him downsized. I've seen him supersized, like at the Boston Pro, which was freaking insane to watch that live. But with him, it's one of those things where like, as new faces come into the sport, I feel like, you know, judges tend to look maybe at the newer guys and then maybe overlook William, but William has to just be William. William has to make sure that he's always in shape. William has to make sure that he's riding that level of being in shape and a little bit of fullness, especially in the upper body, because the legs, the glutes ain't going nowhere. So shout out to William. He knows I got major love for him. And yeah. All right, let's go through some more. Dark Knight 1981 says, I am suffering from bicep tendonitis when I started to be serious in the gym, and I've been training for many years. Any advice on how to keep the biceps healthy? Well, you got to look at the bicep tendon. So you also got to look at its attachments. So you got to look at soft tissue work, primarily like we're talking about like neuromuscular massage. You don't need someone, when they say like deep tissue, you need someone that can do some active release therapy as well. So that might be you lying down and having that therapist who knows what they're doing actually going into your armpit and actually moving this around, because you do have that bicep tendon in there and it could be screwing things up. Also, I was literally training arms last night. Yeah, yeah, they're still there. And this young man was doing, he was doing preacher curls with the bars and stuff. And I was like, hey, let's make sure, because he was like, hey, are you in here? And I said, actually, you and I both can work in. And he was a young guy. He's like 18, 19 years old. And you know, he was doing one plate on there, and I was like, oh, okay. He was like, you're gonna do more, right? I said, no, I'll just do it with one arm. But then I was teaching him. I said, make sure that when you have that pad that is underneath this. So then when you're extending, and he goes, well, I don't see you extending all the way out. And I said, well, why would I want to do that? He goes, I don't know. Like, I was always told to do that. And I said, well, could you imagine like your bicep tendon, like all this stuff in here getting really sore when it doesn't need to be? When it's fully extended, is anything actually flexed? And he was like, no. I said, where is it? Right here. I was like, why not just keep it there and have, and yeah, now you feel like, you know, some tension right here. And then there's that tendon right here as well. So you got to be paying attention as to when you're getting like those last few reps in where it gets really, really difficult. And in here, and you're trying to go like that, you'll probably tear that eventually. So you got to make sure that you're getting good constant flow, good movement. That's where, if you want to spot yourself a little bit, just to get that full peak contraction. This is full peak contraction, right? So making sure that you're holding that longer, that's what we want. So that's the advice that I would say, making sure that you're checking out, like through neuromuscular massage, some active release therapy, getting some soft tissue work done, especially if you've been training for quite some time. I see in your handle, it says Dark Knight 1981. So that might be your birth year. If so, yeah, you definitely need to go get some soft tissue work done. And that goes for everybody. But as we get older, we got to make sure that we're doing more of that, because then we start to tend to wonder, like, am I just training through the pain, or should I get some recovery modalities implemented? And I think the earlier that you do that is the earlier that you're going to recover. All right. So good luck with that. Oh, and make sure you're always staying hydrated. And that goes for everybody. When you are not hydrated, when you're pounding energy drinks and all that stuff, you're dehydrated and you're not getting enough water. And the minute you start taking pre-workouts and stuff with caffeine, you then have a vasodilator with a constrictor, and sometimes all that blood and everything, going into one particular area and such, you can start fraying away at those tendons and, damage yourself. So just always be careful out there. It's never a bad thing to maybe stay at a certain weight when it comes to the dumbbells or the barbells as well. So take it from me. You want to be in this game for a long time. You want to have healthy looking muscles. Like that's what I'm saying. Like right here, like look, like this is like this thinness of the skin still. And you want that by doing it the right way. Because, a lot of people was telling me like, oh, Phil doesn't train heavy, doesn't, 7, 45 years old, still has healthy muscle. We want to be able to do that time in and time out. Rabbit says, how do you think 2018 could have went the other way? I do think that 2018 could have went the other way. I think it should have went the other way. I'll always think it should have went the other way. Primarily because if you're looking at 8 different poses, including quarter turns, so that's 12, how many of them do I really lose? And I'll argue this to the day I die probably, just because I'm a competitive person. It won't change the outcome. And sometimes I find it very difficult to even care as much because Sean's not here anymore. So rest in peace, Sean. But wherever Sean is, up there, I'm sure he knows that I'm always going to be competitive, right? And hell, he thought that he won. I think it was in 2015 or 2016. It might have been 2016. In fact, he actually said during the press conference thereafter, the day after, that he should have won. So do I think I should have won? Yeah. Do I think that the internet heavily pushed against the fact that I had a surgery that, you're not going to get points just because, and this is something I learned, you're not going to get sympathy, you're not going to get points just because you show up after you have a hernia surgery that then got ruptured again. And, I have to pat myself on the back for making sure that I didn't quit, that I still stayed in it. I could have easily backed out 3 weeks out and said, hey, I'm injured. I retore this and I'm not going to compete. I just said, nope, we're going to figure this out. And I lost. Easy come, easy go. And I won't say it's political because it wasn't political when I won. I just will disagree, but definitely feel like it went the other way. I think a lot more people after seeing the dust settle feel like it did as well. But that's bodybuilding, that's the way it goes. This guy says, come to Iran so we could kidnap you and do some tests and see why you're so gifted. Oh, shit. I guess I'm not going to Iran or any other country for that matter. Now I got to really see, now I got to hire private security. Now I got to make sure that I'm like, man, I got to make sure yeah. Love you guys, man. You guys are funny. I don't know if it's Susher 425 or Usher 425. Dem Vikes. So when people say Dem Vikes, that stands for them Vikings. I went to Rainier Beach High School in Seattle, Washington, and our mascot was the Vikings. So when people say Dem Vikes, that's what we are. So right now they're the boys basketball team at Rainier Beach is actually going for another state title. I believe they have 9 and they're looking for number 10. So I'm hoping that they get that done. I would love to be able to see Coach Bethia, who was my coach in high school a long time ago, get another one. Horror Freak 86 asks, any chance to see you in Germany? Yes, I will be at the FIBO Power Expo all 3 days. So I'll be there with Panada and also KSM. Shout out to KSM. They're doing a lot of new things. I'll be with them at the Arnold Classic, but also in Cologne, Germany. Dustin Miles asks, when are you going to re-up on the autograph photos on your website? We're actually going to put those things back up. I want to change some things around a little bit, offer some different ones. And you'll definitely be one of the first to know because I'm sure you're already locked into the website, but also like, we'll do an email blast. But yeah, if you're on my socials, you'll find out. All right. Your training volume was higher in the off season or in preparation? So my training volume always stayed the same. I would consider this high volume training, 8 to 12 repetitions for everything, excluding leg presses, calves, or squats. Reason being is because I felt like when you're doing back squats, you can do like 5 to 8 repetitions to get a lot of like strength. But for me, I just went for what I was great at, which was the roundness and the fact that I was training solo for almost 20 years. You know, you last thing you want is to be trying to squat like 6 plates and then fail and then, you know, not be well, or doing like vertical leg press with extra amounts of weight. So I'd rather just do more repetitions. So I found that as I was getting ready for competitions, I was implementing more cardio. And with that cardio, you know, you don't want to train. You don't want to train as heavy. But by doing this type of volume training, I recognized the fact that this benefited me so much. So the key here that I would share with you all is to make sure that you got great time under tension, good technique. A lot of people feel like they have great technique. I would beg to differ. And then being able to chart your resting periods. A lot of you guys probably are doing this while you're in between sets. And as I'm doing this, and this happens quite a bit, right? I'll go to a gym. I'll go to a gym tonight and I'll see someone training, and I'll probably get in 4 more sets before they get their next set in, because they've been on the phone or walk into the water fountain or whatever. So those are those things that, you know, increase in levels of intensity, so then you can be more focused and actually get some freaking gains. So, you know, I believe like in the volume of training, but making sure that the resting periods may get shorter. One guy asked, what's my favorite soccer team? I cannot answer that because I'm going to get beat up online. I haven't watched it enough to be quite fair. I'm a Messi fan, but also Ronaldo fan. I don't know if that's possible, but hey, I'm not like, you know, I just love greatness, and they're both freaking dope. All right, I'm gonna just skim through some of these questions. I see a lot of redundancies from a lot of you guys, but okay. One guy just asked, like, do I invest in crypto? We'll just say that for another conversation, but I find that blockchain technology is very, very interesting. It's something of a new wave, and with trade finance, how the world is turning, is definitely something that is in existence. You see Bank of America, you see Citibank, you see Wells Fargo, all adopt different types of blockchain technologies. And I think that through trade finance and cross-border payments, that's going to be something that's in the near future. It's already being done. It's just waiting on what this thing called government regulations. And when we talk about government regulations, it's more like the world. So in the United States, it's usually last. It's kind of like, reminds me of when the United States was very, very slow in having credit cards with chips in them. Whereas in Europe, they already had it for like almost 10 years. So it'll be very interesting. I think there's going to be a huge, and this is me riffing now, there's going to be some type of multiple black swan event. You guys can go look that up. But needless to say, it's not going anywhere. It's here. It's now. We're into AI. We're into all this blockchain stuff. It ain't going nowhere. You better figure it out. Go read a book. Go Google something. But it is here. And it's going to be very exciting once we all can start finding ways to benefit from it. So John Rivas says, would love to hear about your mindset as a competitor going into a show like a week or two out. You know, everyone's gunning for you, but you were able to have the confidence because you talk about it. Well, so when I got ready for bodybuilding shows, the biggest thing is to understand that I was going against them, but they had to go against me. I'll say that again. I was going against them, but they also had to go against me. And, you know, I was just so comfortable being alone in the gym or, even around other people, but I was comfortable not having a training partner. I was comfortable not having my coach live in the same town, let alone the same state as me. I was raised as an only child, so I was able to be at home alone. Well, both my parents worked. My mom worked for cargo services for a company called Sealand, and a logistics company, while my stepfather worked for an NBC News affiliate as a TV engineer. So I was home by myself, I'd say over 90% of the time. So I occupied myself with sports and obviously studies and stuff. But it taught me how to redefine my process. If it came to basketball, it was about like how many shots you can make, then to how many, how many shots could you get up? So someone would say, oh yeah, shoot 500 shots a day. I say, okay, you get your 500 shots a day. Now what? How many of those are over 50%? Then you say, forget that. I'm just going to go for 500 makes a day. And then you say, well, go from 500 makes a day to how many swishes can I make out of that 500? Can I make 500 swishes a day? See how this goes? So it's just like bodybuilding. How many perfect reps can I do within a workout? How many times can I make sure that I count the steps on the step mill, count the steps on the freaking treadmill? These are things that I made sure I did. I was not taught this by Hani Ramban. I wasn't taught this by some book. It was just something that I learned and I just picked up and made a game for myself. And I implemented it over and over and over again. And I got obsessed with this progress. So that allowed me more confidence, because when you're by yourself and when you have to figure a lot of these things on your own, even with coaching, you're the one in your own head when you have to do leg day. You're the one in your own head when you have to eat those meals that you just despise. When you make peace with all that stuff, you start seeing some positive results, you're going to grunt and cuss your way through those workouts, even when you don't feel like it. You're going to grunt and cuss your way when you have to eat, the same monotonous freaking steak and chicken and fish, fish. Ugh. I won't even eat fish now because of how like brutal that was. But I knew that I was doing this because I just did not want to walk on stage practically with nothing on and look to my left or look to my right and say, that guy beat me, because he cared about his success more than I cared about my own. He outposed me. He clearly outconditioned me because I refused. And I know this goes through the heads of these competitors that are getting ready for shows. When you're up on that stage and you see someone that is better than you, I know deep down you know that you effed up, that you totally messed up. It was you. It wasn't your coach. It was you. And all that stuff you were talking about online or to your friends or whatever, now what? Or all that stuff that your friends were just blowing smoke and you were too busy reading the comments online. See, that's what I paid attention to, but I didn't fall in love with that process. And that's what made me so confident when I was on stages. None of that stuff mattered. What mattered was the work that I put in, and that's why you guys saw me like so ferocious, and I wouldn't take any crap for anybody because I knew that, kind of like what Dorian Yates said, they didn't work as hard as me. They could not outwork me. These guys could have outworked me on as far as like the poundages and stuff, but they definitely did not outwork me in the mind. They did not outwork me training by themselves every day, doing the cardio. Majority of these guys won't do the cardio I did. I know they won't. And I know they didn't do it at altitude. So that also gave me a lot more confidence. You see what I'm saying? So all that to be said, I just knew that I was doing everything that my coach asked me to do and more. I was focusing on recovery more than everybody else. That's why my body, excluding the hernia, the muscle looked healthier than majority of most people. And that might be a genetic thing, or that just might be me actually doing things the right way. So I, of course, had the confidence, because I knew when I didn't have confidence, I wasn't going to be Mr. Olympia. I wasn't going to win, or I wasn't going to be a good champion. I wasn't going to be a great example for people like you that want to go after it. So I had to exude confidence, not the cockiness. Cockiness is when people can't back it up. I backed it up. Any chance we're going to see you at the Masters Olympia? Maybe if they pay me to commentate it. The answer is, I mean, if you're expecting me to compete, I can't. I don't see it. I don't see competing in my future. I see it in my past. I see it as a thing that I'll always think about. But as far as like saying I'm going to do this, no. And it pains me to say it sometimes. And you can kind of hear it in my voice. But no, it's just not for me. Um, just not for me. One guy asked a good question. Miles Alto Bellis? If you didn't have insane genetics, would you have trained the way you did, or would you have changed your plan? Take genetics away, I just think that I would have found a way. I pretty much tried every different method that you guys are using. I think if anything, you guys are just using so many different styles, you can't figure out which one to do. You just continuously overthink it, overthink it, overthink it. Look, I think, having these different terms and, I see it online and, oh, you got to do progressive overload during this period of time. You got to do HIIT this time and got to do that. I think you just need to do a real honest assessment as to figure out which body parts are lagging. You got to figure out from the inside out, like, do you have some type of ailment within your spine? Majority of you guys don't even get a freaking, x-ray on your spine. Majority of you guys don't even get blood work done. So how the hell are you going to know, like, what your genetics are doing and what it ain't doing? So I think when it comes to this, it had all to do with me just recognizing, yes, I have genetics, but I got to make those things work. Like, I wasn't genetically wide. So how did I work around that? I created the roundness and the delts in the back and stuff that made me wider, right? I stopped training arms as much so then I could make my chest and shoulders look bigger. That's bodybuilding. So if you don't have insane genetics, I mean, if I didn't have insane genetics, I probably wouldn't be competitively bodybuilding. Probably wouldn't. I'd be bodybuilding, I guess, but I don't think I would have got on stage to expect to be at the Olympia. I might have just did what I had to do to get to maybe a regional show and such like that. One guy says, what's important to you in life, if you don't mind answering? My peace, my silence, the ability to also connect and to drive impact and to empower you guys to go after whatever it is that you want. Because I had a lot of people tell me what I couldn't do. And I know you guys have had that as well. And that's what I want. I want to see more people that are empowered, that are positive, because I think if people are more positive, they don't have as much negativity that comes out of their mouth. If you're going for positive actions, you're going to bring in positivity in yourself. You're going to continually look forward and be curious as to how you can become a better human being. So, yeah, I believe that's important. Being a great husband is extremely important. Being a man of God is extremely important to me. Understanding what that means is actually more important to me now, where it wasn't the most highest priority. So that's my answer. Here's a cool question. Phil, while you were playing basketball, you never thought about being a 7-time Mr. Olympia? No, I did not think when I was playing basketball that I would ever be a bodybuilder. In fact, when I was, man, this is why I love this, and I'm so glad that we're having these conversations. When I was a sophomore and junior and senior in college, I was a camp counselor in this place called Greenwood Village, Colorado, where I would go to a facility and I would train kids under high school age, just how to play hoops, right? So this guy says, hey, you should compete, because I'm in like their weight room, like in between sessions and stuff. I'm just doing like what most people do, just trying to get some arms and stuff, because we did weightlifting in college. It just was more Olympic weightlifting, like power clean, snatches, back squats, bench press. And I just denied this guy. Just kept telling him, nope, I'm not going to do it. And then after my, basketball career had ended, I started competing and he was at the damn show and he was like, see, I told you. I told you you'd be good at this, because I won my first show and I had a great freaking time. When guy asked, will you do guest posing in the upcoming years, any possibilities? I won't say there's zero possibility that I would ever never guest pose again because I just don't know, but I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see myself training for something like that. And I would never want to produce a product that I don't like. All right, let me go to this question. I just saw someone pay. Ryan Edwards. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Ryan. Really appreciate you, brother. You said you gave everything you had to the sport. You have no reason to compete anymore. You are the GOAT. I watch your motivational videos on YouTube before the gym every day. True assassin mentality. Thank you. Well, Ryan, from me to you, thank you so much for your support and also your contribution on this live. It means a lot. And it means a lot to me that you actually have followed my career and watched those videos still. They shout out to all those creators that have taken some of those videos that they've made of me. And I'll thank myself. Kind of getting, yeah. A lot of pain went through that. A lot of different things, Ryan, went through my mind. I would say that I loved every minute, but sometimes I didn't. A lot of times I was dealing with more pain than I was dealing with pleasure. And a lot of it was my own self trying to manage the stresses of being the best, what people thought of me, and if their love for me would decrease if I hadn't won. And, you know, I share that with you, Ryan, and everybody else is because I think a lot of us have dealt with that struggle. Maybe that's why we don't go for those high, like those big major goals, because we might be afraid. I know I was, that if I didn't win, people wouldn't like me. And I had to learn that I had to love myself no matter what, and figure out where that came from in the first place. You know, I don't believe I had an upbringing where the unconditional love was very well administered. Doesn't mean that my parents didn't love me. I know they did. It was just a type. So I'm very thankful that you watched those motivational videos. I gave it everything I had. And now I get to give you guys through these lives and other new offerings. I get to give you all of the insight that carried me through those championship years. And I do hope, Ryan, and for everyone else watching, I want you guys to continuously dream. I want you guys to have belief in yourself. I want you guys to double down. And I'll say this directly to you, Ryan. I want you to double, triple, quadruple the hell down on anything and everything that you want in this life, because you only have one and you have a lot of work to do. And if I hadn't done that when I had $43 to my name, when I was getting ready for the Junior Nationals, when, you know, I did my second pro show in New York, and the food that I had prepared the week after I won my pro debut, I accidentally left at the hotel and had to fly to New York from California, from John Wayne freaking airport, with negative bank account because for some reason the check that I got from the previous show bounced and drained every bit of money I had, to just saying, you know what, I don't care. I'm just going to do it for the love. And I competed and won that New York Pro at 208 and a half. I doubled down, I tripled down, and I didn't have a lack of self-belief. And I just say, you know what, I've come this far. I've come this damn far. I'm not going to give up. I don't give a damn. I'm going to keep working hard. I'm going to keep going. And I want that for you too, Ryan. Ryan Edwards, thank you. I really appreciate you, brother. All right. So now we got another one from Sorry Farsi TV. How to adapt your workout if you have a labor-intensive job, and what is the best metal band ever? Okay, so I'm gonna say thank you again for your contribution to this live stream. It really does mean a lot. A labor-intensive job, I'm thinking of construction. I'm thinking of anything labor-intensive, right? So, you know, the biggest thing to adapt is figuring out how you can recover. So one of the major things is you got to stay hydrated. I've mentioned this before and I'll say it again. You got to make sure you're hydrated, right? You got to make sure that you're eating. You got to make sure that you're fueling your body. So if you're a bricklayer, if you're someone that is just continuously just like, I mean, beating your body up, like, lugging logs or, just heavy machinery or whatever it is, lifting boxes over your head or just whatever it may be, mechanic work, you got to make sure that you're eating. You got to make sure you're eating a lot, and you got to make sure you're getting the right type of nutrition. If you're not, you're just going to wither away. You're not going to have the fuel to go do what you need to do. But you can't have inflammatory foods. You can't have fast food. You can't have all these cheat meals. And I get it. Like, you're going to need some fuel to think and to get through it. But you can't go that way. You got to stay locked in even more. And it's not easy. I don't envy you at all, because I didn't have to do that. But you got to make sure that when you're talking about adapting your workout schedule, you got to figure out like how you can recover as fast as you can. You got to figure out like what areas are aching and train around that as soon as possible. And then there's going to be times where you're going to have to not go as heavy, and that might mess with your ego and may piss you off. But if you want continuous chronic pain and injuries later on, yeah, you'll go into the gym after having a hard day like that and try to lift the whole gym and then make yourself worse for work. So it's going to be maybe a lot of smaller victories that lead into a major win, if that makes sense. And best metal band ever. Oh man, you got a lot, man. You got Metallica, you got Judas Priest, you got, man. For me right now, you guys know I'm a huge Five Finger Death Punch fan. I don't know if they're considered metal, but like, I mean, yeah, like I love Five Finger Death Punch. I love Avenged Sevenfold. I love Disturbed. I love Metallica, Judas Priest. I love a lot of these different bands. But if you gave me an opportunity to go see Five Finger Death Punch, I'm gonna go freaking see them. Shout out to Chris Kale, that's my guy, and the whole crew. Zoltan, we have yet to meet. And I can't wait because he trains in Las Vegas over at Flex Lewis's gym. And I want to meet him, but I don't want to get put in an arm bar, okay? I don't want that. I don't want that smoke. But sorry, Farsi TV, thank you for your contribution. And I really hope that you're doing well. Okay. All right. Like I asked, Sean Franklin says, do you like The Undertaker and Kane? I like them both, but I'm a huge Undertaker fan. I think I was just as surprised as everybody when he lost in WrestleMania. We were like, what? There's no way. It's impossible. And I didn't even know that he was a basketball player, that he played with Five Slam and Jamma guys, with, Drexler and those guys, man. Like, holy crap. So that's just crazy. It's wild, man. I just see one of my guys from the South End says, we don't listen to heavy metal. I bet you do when you get under that squat rack and you're doing freaking legs in the freaking summer and you're only on 100 grams of carbs and you already did 45 minutes of cardio. I bet your ass will when you got to do 315 squats for 20 reps for 5 freaking sets with 2 minutes of resting period. I think you're going to listen to some heavy metal. I don't think you're going to be listening to some mumble ass rap. I don't think you'll be doing that. I think you're going to be lifting to whatever is going to pull that energy, whatever it takes, whatever it takes, man. All right, oh, I see some pros on here. Natalia Coelho, she is the champ. She's definitely an incredible competitor. She says, I can relate to you so many ways. Your mindset is second to none. Talking to you backstage after my Olympia title and being the runner-up meant the world. A few words that I will never forget. And I'll never forget what we spoke about as well. You're a champion. We already know that. Plenty of people love you. You have a great platform. You continuously, go after it each and every year. And you're definitely a champion of how you handle victory and also defeat, and you come back better every time. The thing I will tell you, like I've said it before, be undeniable. I think that's the motto that you have to have in your mind. You got to be undeniable. You got to be undeniable in everything that you do. I'm undeniably better than I was the previous year. And that's what in previous you from last year. Because you can't necessarily concern yourself with the person, the people that are you're placing ahead. And this goes for everybody. For me, when I was getting ready in 2011 to go after the Olympia, it wasn't about beating Jay Cutler. it was about becoming the 13th Mr. Olympia. So I decided to create a workout video called Becoming Number 13. And I titled it that because a lot of people just say, well, I'm going to be Phil Heath or whatever. But what if Phil Heath doesn't show up? You don't know how to become the champion. It's called Becoming the Champion. So Natalia, everybody, you got to become the champion. You got to understand that it's going to be filled with a lot of unknowns, and you got to be willing to champion your ass through it. Gustav Nav says, I watched the Will Tennyson video and I'm using a lighter weight and controlling the weight and I feel the difference. Congratulations. I'm so happy that you got some added value from that. I think it's very, very good that you were able to see the value within going lighter and being more intentionally focused on the technique and actually getting those muscles to fire properly. I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm going to share throughout 2025 and beyond is those types of videos that I did with Will Tenney. Shout out to Will. He had a great outlook on going about this. He could have been very obtuse with my training style, but he was willing to give it a go. And he has benefit from it. In fact, he's getting ready for his own bodybuilding show, which I'm very, very happy for him. I got some text coming in. So I'm gonna scroll through a couple of other ones. Any plans to come to South Africa soon? I have yet to get a deal to go to South Africa. So I'm hoping at some point, promoter, we can get something locked in. I would love to be able to do that. Can you explain why Kai beat you at the Arnold? I can't. J-Rock, I can't. I was up by 3 after prejudging, and I lost by 7, which is a 10-point swing, largest swing in bodybuilding history, especially for a one-day competition. I don't even think the judges even know how the hell that happened, because on the score sheet, it don't make no damn sense. But again, he won, I didn't, and I made sure that I never lost to that mother again. All right, you guys, I just want to wrap up and say thank you. Really appreciate our time here. It's been a little bit, about an hour, and we're going to do this again, preferably 2 to, if not 3 times a week. So what I need from you guys is to, of course, like what we're doing. I want you to continuously comment. I want you guys to share. I want you guys to subscribe. I want you guys to tell all your friends. We're going to continue to do these videos, but also the live chats. So one guy said I didn't read his super chat. Let me see. We're not going to leave until I read that super chat. Where would I find that, brother? Let me see. No, that's not it. Where would I see this? Let's see. Let's see. Because I don't want to shortchange nobody. I ain't trying to do you like that, brother. Let's see something. Let's see. Okay, got you. All right. Red Wing 644, Phil, you're a true inspiration. You have made me go into bodybuilding. No matter how much I train, I'll never be like you. Let's make sure I can see this fully, because I can't read it all for some reason. It's like it got cut out. Oh, I'll never be like you, but you're so inspiring. So Red Wing 644, thank you for actually reminding me before I hopped off. And this is definitely a learning lesson for me to make sure that I review everything within this super chat before I bounce. So apologies for that, but here we are. Thank you. And I'm really, really happy that you got into the sport of bodybuilding, man. And, 3 major things have to occur when you're competing and you're just going for bodybuilding. You got to train smart, okay? So you can't just take a bunch of supplements and super supplements and just go into the gym and do something stupid. So you got to train smart. Of course, you got to train hard. We always talk about train hard, okay? You got to push yourself. You got to go through your limits. You got to know when to back off, and you got to know when to restart. So that means, hey, there's gonna be times, brother, where you're not gonna be feeling it. You gotta, you may have to run to the bathroom, throw some freaking water on your face and get yourself revved up and go get that squat done or get that deadlift in or get that cardio that you don't want to do in. And you just go do it because you know that you came here to get something done, and that is to get a win. That is going to stack over time, and you're going to get that triumphant victory that you had in your mind. that you repeatedly played over and over and over again. And you have to realize that you're going to have levels of adversity because that's how champions are made. So you're going to have the training smart, the training hard, and then the last part, you got to have fun. Bodybuilding is supposed to be fun. You're going to have moments where it's hard, but just like anything, when you give it your all, it's not always going to be smiling because you're going to be so intentionally focused on every meticulous thing that you're doing, from your diet to your training to how many grams of protein you're having, how many ounces of fish, rice, whatever it is. But when you see the end result, you best damn smile. And when I say smile, smile from in here. It doesn't have to be a fake smile here, because sometimes when we do this, we're just doing it for social media. We're just doing it to go appease somebody else. We got to do it from here. And that means sometimes sitting with it. So my advice to you before I leave is this, and everybody's listening so they can use it as well. When you have a moment of triumph, it could be a small victory or a humongous one, sit with it. Sit with it to the point where you're allowing it to just soak it all into your heart. And I say that because when bad things happen, we tend to allow those things to seep in as well, more than what we do when we have victory. When we get a victory, we're like, okay, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. But you don't do that when you lose. You don't say on to the next. You sulk. You bitch, you cry, you complain. You do that. Hell, I've done it. But when you win something, you get a win, you get a victory, you get that PR on that bench press or that squat or that deadlift. You not only fist pump, but you, at the end of that workout, thank your body for putting up with yourself. That's gratitude. If you can show gratitude to your body for waking up in the morning and actually you putting it through a lot, you're going to have a much healthier life. And you're going to be able to be seen as not such a rigid individual that is troubled. And I know what that feels like, because I've had that where people are like, man, like Phil's just like always pissed off and this and that. And it's like, yeah, well, he's just focused. It's like, yeah, I'm focused and I'm also pissed off. And I didn't even know from what. So I want you to have a great victory. All right. And that goes for everybody here. So with all that said, I thank you all for coming on here. Thank you all for your contributions to this. I look forward to doing more soon. And yeah, be on the lookout for more things. Check out the philfit.com website, philfit.com website. It's on my link in my bio and Instagram. So be sure to check that out. God bless you all. Have a great evening, and we are done. Peace.